So page 48 is your next speaker. He's a wonderful guy. I've seen him in another showcase. You're going to love him. He is your success coach, all right? And his name is Dave Martin. He inspires, all right, and equips you to really pursue success. Can we give a huge welcome to Dave Martin? Come on. Page 48.
Good afternoon. Man, this has been an incredible day. I was just thinking about some of these other speakers. It can be a little intimidating when you have to get up with like 20 of the best speakers in the world. And you're thinking, man, if I just had a cool accent, I would sound smarter, or if I was funny like Devin, or, I'm just going through the list. If I could sing opera like Kevin. But sometimes you just got to learn to be you, you be you. It can be, the other day someone said, Dave, you and me, man, we are just alike. I said, if you and me are just alike, one of us is unnecessary. And I'm going with you. No, none of us are alike. I mean, I can't be you, you can't be me. You gotta open up your gift. And it's just amazing to see all the amazing gifted speakers and all the different things. It's like, when you get a gift, you need to open it, right? Could you imagine somebody giving you a gift, you just set it on the table, didn't open it? A couple of Christmases ago, I got my mother-in-law a gift. For Christmas, I'd gotten her a cemetery plot. And my mother-in-law, anyway. I didn't get her anything last year, and she was all mad at me. You didn't give me anything for Christmas this year. I'm like, you didn't even use what I got you last year. I mean, I'm just saying when you give someone a gift. So whatever your gift is, I say unwrap it. I'm one of those just rips the paper off. I want to get in there and see what we got. I got just a few minutes with you this morning. We do a lot of different seminars and teachings that we do, and a lot of them I do from this book, Another Shot. We do a lot with the NBA and NFL, different teams and things like that, a lot on team building. And I wrote this book called Another Shot. It's all a game plan on how to come back from setbacks. There's some free ones back there for you. But I love what Evander Holyfield said. And it's really, when I think about it, I want to read you this quote. I'm not just trying to drop names. Like, I know Evander Holyfield. He wrote this on my book. I'm not trying to do that. I want to read what the 5-time heavyweight champion of the world said about my book. Seriously, if anything I've learned from spending time with Oprah, it's that you shouldn't drop names. But Evander said it's not getting knocked down that makes you lose the fight. It's not getting back up. We all get knocked down, but it's easy to get back up. How do you get back up? And we teach a lot on that, how to come back and different things like that. But I was watching a movie the other day on the plane, and we have our set things that people bring us in for. But I'm one of those, I just kind of feel it out sometimes. If they don't have a real set thing they picked, I just kind of meditate a little bit and see what I'm supposed to share. And on the way here, I was watching this movie on the plane. How many saw that movie, Sully? Anybody see the movie Sully? I was watching that, and I'm always teaching about how you have another shot. And I got to thinking about this movie, and I thought, here's one guy who never had another shot, right? He had one shot. You may remember the story. I brought my notes because I just put this kind of together, and we just changed the PowerPoint yesterday just so we could get this together for you. But remember January 15th, 2009, when Captain Sully landed that Airbus on the Hudson River. Here he was, the pilot, emergency landing, and birds had struck their engine. How many of you have ever had some unexpected bird strikes in your life? Things that you weren't expecting. Anybody ever had something happen that you weren't expecting to happen? I mean, they weren't expecting these birds. There's always unexpected things that happen in life. This guy reminds me of this guy sat down on a park bench, and there was a nun sitting next to him on the park bench. He said, "Excuse me, sister." He said, "I don't know if this is just a coincidence that we're here, but I've had a dream my entire life. I've always wanted to kiss a nun." The nun looked at him and said, "Are you crazy? I'm a nun. I can't even believe you'd ask me that." He said, "You know what, sister, you're right. I probably shouldn't have, but it was just a dream." He said, "Please forgive me." He turned around. A few minutes later, the nun tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, if it is your dream and I'm here, I'd like to help you. I would be willing to kiss you on 2 conditions. Number 1, you got to be Catholic." He said, "That's perfect. I'm Catholic." He said, "Number 2, you got to be single." He said, "I'm single." So he said, "Okay." So he laid a big one right on the nun. So, as soon as he got done kissing the nun, he started laughing. The nun said, "What's so funny?" He said, "Well, I got to admit, I lied to you. I'm actually Baptist." He said, and I'm married." And all of a sudden, the nun started laughing. He said, "What do you think so funny?" The nun said, "Well, actually, my name's Kevin." and I was just on my way to a costume party. So what I'm saying is sometimes in life the unexpected happens, right? Things you weren't expected happen, and that's kind of what happened here. But yet all 155 passengers and the crew members, the engine fails, and they all end up landing right there on the Hudson. They're saved by nearby watercraft, and you can see, I think they got a picture of what it looks like. Go to that next slide. There it is, coming in right over the Hudson. And as I looked at this for a few minutes, we know it as the Miracle on the Hudson. We claim all the crew and captain, everyone as heroes. I remember looking at this story, and I think we gravitated to it a lot because, for one thing, it was good news. You know, we don't see that a lot of times on the news. CNN, constant negative news. You know, any news is always negative a lot of times. And here we got a great story of tragedy, misfortune, yet occurred, and right in the middle of it, a miracle takes place. And watching the movie, I was amazed at this pilot, and I saw just a couple things that I thought were pretty amazing that as leaders we could use in how to handle crisis, because we're all going to have crisis. We're all going to have unexpected things. So I'm going to give you 5 things. If you got your pen, paper, you got the couple lines right there on that second page. Just write these 5 things down. Pretty simple things that he did, but just how to respond, how to manage in crisis. Number 1, you got to take control. First thing you got to do is take control. Actually, the co-pilot was actually flying the plane at the moment when the birds collided. But immediately, Captain Sully exclaimed, "Hey, it's my aircraft," and he took over the controls. As a leader in times of crisis, you must immediately reorganize your priorities and put the total focus upon analyzing and restabilizing the situation at hand. In most crises, more than anything else, what's done right at the beginning, what's done right when the crisis happens, determines the eventual outcome. So you got to take responsibility. I wrote another book called The 12 Traits of the Greats, and in there, the very first chapter is called Responsibility. It's all about responsibility, because as long as you blame other people for your problems, you know, it's the government's fault, it's my parents' fault. My doctor said, "Dave, you need to lose 25 pounds. I'm like, that's Krispy Kreme's fault. You know, I didn't make that light flash hot now. You know what I'm saying? My wife, she said, "Honey, don't worry about it. You've got the body of a god." It's like, "Thanks, babe." She said, "Yeah, Buddha." Buddha was the guy. Anyway, so you got to take control. Number 1, you got to take control. Number 2, continually assess the situation. Continually assess the situation. As soon as the bird strike occurred and the engines failed, Captain Sully pushed the nose down to maintain airspeed. They call it flying dead stick. And he began to assess the situation. He knew LaGuardia was too far. They weren't going to get back to that. So he said, okay, how about Teterboro? The airport was a little bit too far as well. So he made a plan to ditch the plane in the Hudson. When you're in a crisis, knowing your options is critical to your outcome. Knowing what your options are. When one avenue closes, seek another one. Be flexible. If necessary, maybe examine a discard plan and what puts you in the best possible position. Captain Sully decided landing in the Hudson was going to be the best possible solution at that moment. Number 3, third thing. Number 3, seek advice, but you decide. Seek advice, but you decide. Air traffic controllers on the ground advised the crew to turn the plane around, return to LaGuardia. But Sullenberger, Captain Sully, listened to their reasoning, but then he said, "No, we're going to land this in the Hudson." He got their advice. He heard the situations, but then he decided, here's what we're going to do. In the same situation, the same manner, an effective leader should seek wise counsel, seek advice, seek counselors, seek accountants, seek your lawyer, whatever it may be, but you cannot let them be the decision maker. A leader has to make the decisions. How many have ever made a bad decision? Yeah. How many like to know how to make right decisions all the time? Yeah, we got some great stuff on decision making that if you don't want to make another bad one, you should maybe schedule me sometime. But you're the only one who really knows the situation at hand. So you got to determine the knowledge, the experience to determine what the best possible outcome is going to be. Discuss it with mentors. That's why mentors are so important. People say there's no shortcut to success. I found my mentors to be my quickest shortcut to success. Called one of my mentors the other day. I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?" He said, "Oh, I wouldn't do that if I was you." I said, "Why?" I think it's a great idea. He said, "Yeah." He said, "So did I." He'd already done it, found out it didn't work, just saved me 3 months of work, $40,000 of investment. So it's important to have people to discuss it with, but you still have to be responsible. Responsibility is up to you. You can always blame other people. How many know someone who always has excuses? Yeah, this reminds me of this guy. Just always had an excuse. Got pulled over by the police. Police said, your car was swerving a little bit. I'm going to need you to take a breathalyzer test. He said, oh, he's always had excuses. He said, I can't take those. He said, what do you mean you can't take a breathalyzer? He said, I've got asthma, bad asthma. If I breathe in a breathalyzer, I'm going to have an asthma attack. If I have an asthma attack, I could die. If I died, it'd be your fault. The officer said, that's horrible. I don't want to be responsible for that. How about this? How about you get in the car, we'll go down to the station, I'll get a blood sample from you. He said, I can't do that. He said, why can't you do that? He said, I'm a hemophiliac. If you stick me, I start bleeding, I can't quit bleeding, I could bleed to death. I bleed to death and die. I'd die and at the station, and it'd be all your fault. The officer said, okay, fine then. Just step out of the car, walk down this white line right here. The guy said, oh. The officer said, you can't walk down the white line? He said, no. He said, why not? He said, because I'm drunk. A lot of people have a lot of excuses. You know, I can't do this, I can't do that. Other people just accept responsibility for the things that they need to change. Number four. Is that number 4 that I'm on? Yeah, here we go. Number 4, communicate with the people around you. Communicate. I love this. In 208 seconds between when the bird struck and the landing on the Hudson River, 208 seconds, Captain Sully had to communicate with his co-pilot, air traffic control, the flight crew, the passengers on board Flight 1549. Communication was a critical piece. We all know the value of communication. It was a critical piece in getting help, organizing the plan, analyzing the options, preparing for the outcome. A good leader is a great communicator. Communication is just as important in a time of crisis as in a time of growth or in a time of success. So without communication, you have no help. So don't think you can handle every disaster and tragedy by yourself. You've got to communicate. You got to let people know what's going on. Communication is vital. Share, discuss the importance of communication and get the details. When you're communicating, make sure you get the details correct. You know, how many ever found out one little missing piece in a detail can mess up a whole lot of stuff? That's why excellence is so important. Excellence is attention to detail. A couple in Minnesota was getting ready to go to Florida on vacation, getting ready to leave for the vacation. They had the whole thing planned. They couldn't wait to leave. The next morning, they were getting ready to leave. The wife's boss called and said, listen, we've just got a phone call. We've got an emergency meeting came up and you need to be there. She said, I can't be there. I'm leaving for vacation. He said, you're going to have to change your plans. We've got this meeting. If you don't want to lose your job, you'll be there. She talked to her husband. Her husband said, well, you got to go to the meeting. We don't want you to lose your job. And so he said, I'll go down to Florida. They were going to Florida for vacation. He said, I'll fly down. You know, I'll pick up the rental car, get the hotel. You know, all those things you do the first day, all those little details. He said, I'll take care of all those. You do the meeting, fly down the next day. We'll have a great vacation. So that's what they decided to do. That night, he sent her an email just to let her know he'd made it and everything was okay. And typing the email, he typed one of the letters wrong. Not a big deal, a little mistake. I mean, found a little mistake can mess up a lot of stuff, right? A little mistake sends it to the wrong person. One wrong letter in an email address ends up with a lady up in New York who just got home from the funeral home. She'd buried her husband. She was checking her email. All of a sudden, this email popped up, said, hello, honey. Just wanted you to know I arrived safely. Yes, she passed out. Her son came over and said, Mom, what's wrong? She said, read that email. He looked at it, said, hello, honey. Just wanted you to know I arrived safely. Everything's prepared for your arrival tomorrow. It said, P.S. It sure is hot down here. So anyway, number five, last one here. Estimate your holding power. Estimate your holding power. There was a reason that Captain Sully chose to land his plane in the river. Being a glider pilot, which he was, he knew that the jet at an elevation of 3,000 feet could only glide about 3 miles, 1,000 feet of descent per mile. So when traffic controllers suggested that he return, he knew it wasn't going to happen. He knew he only had about 3 miles. Any further than that would be too great of a distance. If you suddenly lose your financial thrust, your emotional thrust, your physical thrust, you quickly determine your gliding range. By that I mean how far can you go? How much loss can you handle in your business and still stay airborne until you get the situation under control? Understand the importance of rest. Rest is important. Tired eyes rarely see a bright future. So you got to make sure you're rested in a position. Anyway, I'll close with this. They were speaking to the anchor, Katie Couric. I love this quote that he said. He was speaking with Katie Couric after the plane crash. And he said this, Captain Sully, he said, one way of looking at this might be that for 42 years, I've been making small, regular deposits in the bank of experience, education, and training. On January 15th, the balance was sufficient so that I could make a very large withdrawal. Every day we're making deposits into our future. What are you doing today? What are you learning today? What people are you investing in today? These deposits in your life, in your business, in your relationships. Keep your account full. Keep it full so when misfortune comes, you'll be able to navigate it calmly, courageously, and you can be victorious in anything that you do. Hey, I hope that helped you a little bit. Thanks so much. God bless you guys. Thank you.